Hey, good morning. Okay, this is our second installment of Galatians, and last time we looked at the introduction, we looked at the conclusion so that we could understand what the theme of the book is. And we came to understand then that Paul wrote the letter to the Galatians to correct some false teaching that was going on by Christians that came from a Jewish background. That's important because once you develop a theme, then we understand that everything written after the introduction and prior to the conclusion has to fall in line with that theme. Let's look at chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle, not from men nor through man, but through Jesus Christ and God the Father, who raised him from the dead. So you can see, as he opens this book, he says, I'm an apostle not from men, neither through man. Because one thing these Judaizing teachers were doing was they were attacking not only the message, but the messenger. They were trying to undermine Paul, saying he was not one of the original apostles. He was not one of the great apostles. That may be implied here that he got his message from his own mind. But Paul said, no, I'm an apostle from God. So last week we looked at 6 through verse 9, and at the introduction we won't look at that again, but in verse 10, for am I now seeking the favor of men or of God? Or am I striving to please men? For if I were still pleasing men, I should not be a servant of Christ. And so what he's going to start with at this point is taking a historical look at how he became to be a true follower of God. Verse 11, for I make known to you, brethren, as touching the gospel, which was preached by me, that it is not after man. For neither did I receive it from man, nor was I taught it, but it came to me through revelation of Jesus Christ. Of course, we know that happened on the road to Damascus, when Jesus miraculously appeared to Saul, as he was known then, and his conversion process started at that point. Verse 13, more historical things. For ye heard of my manner of life in time past in the Jews' religion, how beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and made havoc of it. So here at this time there's a great persecution going on in the church, and later it would be more of a Roman sort of thing, but at this point the Jews are really persecuting early Christians, and Paul was one of the worst about it. And he references that here. He says, and I advanced in the Jews' religion beyond many of mine own age among my countrymen, being more exceedingly zealous for the traditions of my fathers. So he was a 5-talent persecutor. Verse 15, but when it was the good pleasure of God who separated me even from my mother's womb and called me through his grace. So Paul knew this, that God had plans for him even before he was born. And so then that begs the question, why would God tolerate Paul persecuting Christians until the point in time when he was called directly by Jesus Christ? Well, God knew that some things had to occur. This is all in his plan. And at the point when God turned Paul, that would have caused great, great encouragement to the early church. You can imagine then if some famous Muslim, maybe these ISIS armies over there in Iraq, if all of a sudden they turn through the teaching, turn to Jesus Christ and Christianity, what a huge blow that would be to Islam, and what a great encouragement that would be to Christianity. And so God in his plans planned for this to happen at this point, and we see Paul referencing that historically. In verse 16, to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the Gentiles, or the Greeks. Straightway I conferred not with flesh and blood. Here it is, flesh and blood, man. I'm not an apostle by man. My gospel message didn't come from man. When I was converted to Christianity, I didn't go and confer with men. And verse 17, neither went I up to Jerusalem to them that were apostles before me. But I went away to Arabia, and again I returned unto Damascus. After 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to visit Cephas, who is the Apostle Peter, and tarried with him 15 days. But none of the other apostles did I see except James, the Lord's brother. This would be another son of Mary and Joseph. Verse 20, now touching the things which I write unto you, behold, before God I lie not. Then I came to the regions of Syria and Cilicia, and I was still unknown by face unto the churches of Judea which were in Christ. But they only heard people saying, he that once persecuted us now preaches the faith of which he once made havoc. And they glorified God in me. So you can see here, as we are at the very beginnings of the book of Galatians, that as Paul defeats this false teaching, he starts by taking a historical look at how he became a Christian, how his gospel did not come from man. Now the Judaizing teachers, their perverted gospel did come from man. And we're going to look at their motivations for that. One of which, as we read at the end of the book, is that they were trying to escape persecution themselves. And so they were modifying the gospel to include circumcision to make it more palatable to the Jews. And then the second motivation was that they wanted to seek a following. They wanted to glory. They wanted to have pride. So that's all we'll do for today, and I'll see you the next time. Thanks.